Welcome back, y'all, to another episode of the Section OD Party. Ooh, that's how you know this party has been in my mind too much, because I meant to say Section OD podcast, but as y'all know, ain't no party like a Section OD party, because the Section OD party don't stop. I'm going to keep singing this song, honestly, until I actually throw this party. More details to come with that. I will actually fully talk about it when I feel like some things are being finalized, etc. But till then, y'all, keep an eye out. Keep an eye out. Something's coming. Something's brewing up. And before I continue on into this episode, I just want to say, if you hear my earrings clicking and clacking in the mic, I'm so sorry. I apologize. They look really good. I don't feel like taking them off. So bear with me. Mostly to my listen only people. I know it's probably going to be a little annoying too as well for my video people, but mostly my listen only on podcast streaming and all that. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. But anyways, y'all, first of all, happy Women's Month to the girls. Happy Women's Month to the girls. Because who I do it for? The girls. That's what I do it for every single time. I think people don't think I'm being serious when I say that, because I think a lot of times that we hear people say they're for this so-and-so group, but they don't really do the work and or show support in that way. And that's something I've had to sit and realize for myself, is if I'm going to sit here and say I'm for a Black woman, how can I show up in any way for Black women other than besides myself as a Black woman? But I'm so happy it's Women's Month. I feel like this month has been so good, because to be honest, y'all, what was going on this Black History Month? It was so bad. If it wasn't one thing, it was another. It was actually kind of disheartening to see a lot of brands really not show up the way I thought they would for creators. But I also feel like it's teetering between a lot of different things. I know as Black people, we've kind of collectively said that we don't want a show of support if it's only going to be for a day, or a month. In this instance, because we do have similar things that happen during Juneteenth. But I also think it just felt like when they heard that, it was oh, we don't have to do anything at all. And I'm just no, baby, that budget got a budget this month. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 fold for us. But I don't know. It's just very lackluster. It just wasn't given. It wasn't given. But I feel like this Women's Month has been very eye-opening. We're in a new season. It's spring, y'all. We're getting closer and closer and closer to summertime, which I'm so excited for, because I love the warm weather. I think I was seeing people say something about it's a eclipse of some sort. I don't know. I felt a shift. I felt something shift for me in every avenue of my life. But yeah, besides that, I hope everyone for the most part is having a good Women's Month, no matter how you identify. But yeah, let's go ahead and get into the episode. As y'all know, I usually always start with a low, and it's usually some sort of fashion news or whatever. So I want to start with two things. The first one being Pharrell being appointed at LVMH. It's not really a low. It's just that I think we all kind of felt like it should have went to someone else. More specifically, the contenders that we saw basically on this list, list that we didn't know was official or not, which was Wales Boner. It's gonna slip my mind. I know Telfar was considered as well. There's another one who is also a Black woman who designs menswear. It's not coming to my head, but I will put it on the screen. They were the top 3 people who were kind of being circled around within the industry, and it just went to Pharrell. Now, it took me a minute to understand it, and I'm glad I kind of sat in it before I made an episode to talk about it. But a lot of us were kind of Pharrell? Why is it going to a celebrity? But even before thinking that, I already knew the impacts of Pharrell in the fashion industry. Mostly as we talk about streetwear, and I feel like LVMH, when we talk about the menswear, is pretty much gearing towards streetwear. They're not really trying to go for an old-fashioned, very traditional consumer. So it makes sense for Pharrell, but even in that moment, it was still well, why him? There's there's Wales Boner, there's Martine Rose. That's what it was. There's Martine Rose. Honestly, Martine Rose for me is perfect. Literally, the catalog is there, babes. the Nike collab, because Nike is a part of LVMH, if anyone didn't know. There's other collaborations she's done with streetwear designers. Just her lineup, her collections in general are just so beautiful and well done. I was actually really thinking the person, I don't know his name will also be on the screen. The person that was Virgil's apprentice was even possibly going to be a contender for this list or this position. But I'm kind of glad that he isn't, because the work that he's doing on his own is phenomenal. And if his time and if it's aligned in his destiny to be LVMH, I know he very much will. But beautiful pieces, beautiful gowns. But yeah, like I think for me, seeing Pharrell's decision just had me very confused. But now that I've sat in it and I've also kind of seen other people's perspectives and actual personal perspectives and also professional perspectives, it makes complete sense. Like LVMH is not looking for a designer. Like they're not looking to appoint actual people who went to school to do this. Like they're looking for someone who got the key to the streets, like who got their ear to the streets, like Pharrell. And Pharrell for the most part has had that. I think that's what kind of like you can brand him as when you think of him image wise, is that he really knows how to capture the masses. Like when I think about his collaborations with Adidas, like y'all remember that one, like what was it, like I want to say this was like early like Tumblr decades when everybody had to have his Adidas classics that were like a solid color. What a time. There wasn't like not one person you didn't see in a solid black fit. And those Adidas, like I wanted them so bad. I really wanted like a whole colorway because I just loved the concept of the shoe. People aren't talking about that. Everyone keeps bringing up his Chanel collabs, all his like little other collabs with other luxury houses. But like for me, as someone who grew up like moderately poor, like that did it for me. That spoke to me. Everything else, I don't know. It was cute. It made points, and yeah, honestly, just to kind of sum everything up, his collaboration now for me makes sense. However, I still do think eventually in the future when, Pharrell maybe want to step down and move on to another venture, that, they do give an opportunity to a designer like a Martine Rose. I would love to just see a woman in that position irregardless, just because I feel like it's time. The shift is here. Times are changing rapidly, and we want to see that representation within that fashion space. But yeah, congrats to Pharrell in general. I honestly genuinely cannot wait to see what he puts out. And I know it's going to be great things. His collaborations with other brands have been, things that we still speak about to this day. When we think about Babe, when we think about other just phenomenal streetwear brands, it's kind of tightly associated with Pharrell. So congrats to him. But yeah, on to the next thing. We got to talk about Law, y'all. We have to talk about Law. And this isn't, to be honest, this isn't really even a low. It's more so of just, I don't know. I feel like this happening was so perfect, not only for Law himself, but just for this fashion space in general. I feel like a lot of the reasons, me personally, I tend to not be as consistent sometimes is because like there's not really much for me to talk and see about. And that's kind of why like I feel like at this point, this podcast is going to be monthly for the most part until I, make some pivots and some changes, especially in regards to adding guests on the show. And just him addressing something that's always crossed my mind as just a Black person within the fashion space, no matter how that looks, is the fact that, we're constantly being played with. Like, come on. Like, that's the general thing. Is like, we're constantly just being played with. And I feel like a lot of people forget, like, how many times is Pharrell, how many times is Law gonna come on the internet or just in any interview and tell y'all he's from the South Side of Chicago? Like, that man is from Chicago. Nothing about him is fake. He's so real. Like, everything he's doing is so real to me, and it just speaks in so many different volumes for me. Another thing, the Cut interview is funny. Last time I got on here, we were talking about Kirby and his Cut interview, but the Cut gonna do it every single time when it comes to getting the exclusive tea. Y'all go and watch that Cut interview that he did with Lindsay, who's the editor-in-chief at the Cut. I honestly just genuinely love the Cut. If I could work at the Cut, like, for me, it just, I've heard the girls, everyone says everyone that works at the cut is happy. And I believe it. Like, look at the work that they're doing. Phenomenal. But it was such a done, I think it was a podcast episode, well done podcast episode that they did together. He was able to sit and actually express himself and why he did what he did. I knew from the moment he said that he was retiring, he wasn't joking. Like, a lot of people thought that he was being emotional, and of course astrology got involved because they found out he's a Cancer. I genuinely think he was being so serious when he said it, but I also knew that he wasn't saying it to get a reaction. It was like him saying that I'm taking a step back from this industry. I'm not with the bull no more. And y'all not going to treat me the way y'all think you can. And he said this multiple times in multiple interviews that, you know, he's not going to be disrespected. And it's funny because when the news broke, I saw these like weird little like Lipstick Alley type of posts. And I'm just like, why is it every time that like, it's especially as we're in women's wealth, even women too. And we sit and we respectfully kind of command what we deserve and what we, you know, want, and set our expectations that we're set out to be the rudest person on earth. I genuinely don't think Law is a rude person. He might come off in the media as someone who can be very, I guess, snarky. I'm trying to find the right words because I honestly just think he's just being fucking for real. And a lot of people don't know how to receive that because we're used to seeing a certain level of media training or just a certain level of niceness in the media. And that's really what real people who have real conversations look like and what they talk like or how they, you know, present themselves. But yeah, when, you know, the news broke out, I was kind of like shocked because it was like, whoa, this literally just happened after he just did a phenomenal red carpet for the Oscars and the Oscars after party. Because can we talk about Meg? Well, no, I'm going to talk about that after we address, you know, this. But Meg is just like, come on. Like, I was just like, whoa, what's going on? Like, how do we go from styling such a category amount of like A-listers to, you know, quitting? Like, what happened? Something had to have happened behind the scenes that we don't know of. And of course, you know, the LV thing got brought up. I feel like, and thank God, you know, this is why I said for everyone to go and listen and watch that podcast episode or that episode or interview that they did, because he did address it at the fact that this had nothing to do with LV. But, you know, it kind of seemingly looked like that, but it also played along the lines of what, you know, LVMH has kind of done to him before. But I'm so glad that he was able to sit and express himself in that way and set himself clear to let people know, like, you know, he can't be played with. He's like, at this point, yes, he's a stylist, but he's even bigger than a stylist. He's a personality of his own. And I think what he did was so commemorable. And, you know, I only see Law going up from here, because even if it was like quote unquote fake, like, it was good PR for him, because even people who don't know anything about Law now know something about Law. And now we're interested in wanting to know who Law is. So I'm excited to see whatever he decides to do, whether it's him continuing to model for shows, you know, I actually would love to see him be a commentator, like on a fashion show, but that, I don't know how that's going to look, but I would love to see him be a commentator on a fashion show. Him judging, I don't know if you guys watched, what's that show called? It's a show that's based on the Ballroom, but they canceled it, I think, recently. He was on that show. I loved him on that show because he had his fashion inputs in it. I would love to also see him produce a clothing line, because he has such a good eye. And the reason why Law is known for being who he is because of his archival references, his archival pulls. Phenomenal. Like, he's putting like the girls in things that like Mugler that hasn't been able to be touched in years, because he's built that stature in himself. And I would love to see his point of view on a fashion line, and it could teeter either way: menswear, women's wear, unisex, etc. But yeah, I'm excited for what all Law has to do now that he's no longer, or he's kind of putting a pause on styling, at least celebrity styling. But yeah, so let's just go ahead and get into Meg, because my sister moved me. I've been moved. Like, it takes a lot for me to see other people and be so quickly influenced and so easily swayed. But something about seeing Meg get on that blue Vanity Fair carpet and just give us, give us face, give us body, give us skin. It just moved me. You can literally feel and see how healed this woman is from all of the last 2-3 years of like trauma she's kind of dealt within the media, within her personal life. Seeing her come on this carpet and just give her all, literally look her best and give her best. It just shook something in me, because I already had in the back of my mind, I was like, you know what? I feel like I've gotten to a point in my life where I can actually start doing the work to heal myself from my own personal issues. And I want to get back into doing that. And then literally that same night I see her on the carpet and I'm like, yep, tomorrow morning, work out, drink water, like get back into that routine, because like, look how healed she looks. It has less to do with her losing weight. Even though that's literally how she looked. If you are original hottie, like if you was listening to Meg back in 2017, 2018, she looked like that when she was doing those videos in Texas, all of those little, when she was doing the little rap videos and all that, that's literally how she looked. But, she just has this aura about her where she's ready to be in the public eye again, and she doesn't care, because her interview, it's funny, her interview on the Vanity Fair carpet, they kind of were asking her questions about an album, and she was just like giving like these very like not snarky, I can't figure out a good word to say, like kind of like very sassy like responses. I just loved it, because that's her, like that's her energy, and she just felt like, I can tell she was ready. Like you can tell how ready she was posing in it. She was just feeling, she was feeling her she was feeling it. But I'm so excited to see her and everything that she kind of is going to be doing for the rest of the year. It is rumored that apparently she's going to be opening for the Renaissance tour in Houston. Child, I believe it. I actually kind of believe it, because if y'all know Beyonce and her workout plan, she probably had her on that workout plan. But in general, Meg has always had like a kind of athletic build. I feel like sometimes we do have a similar build in a sense, tall, thick, etc. So something about seeing her just come out on that carpet and just give her best, look her best, it's just moving me. And to be honest with you, she's my who's taking it. Like, let's just go ahead and just knock that out right there. Who's taking it is Meg, like point blank period. Like, and even her White House look, I think they had a White House Correspondents' brunch for Women's Month, and I know a lot of women were picked to go and etc. She had this very beautiful head, I think it was like a two-piece set, like Alexander McQueen button-up cardigan and like a flowy kind of like A-line skirt. She looks so good then. I just been seeing like random like photos of her pop up, and she just looks so happy and so ready to just be around people again. And I love that we're embracing her with open arms in this new season for her. And what a great time to come out and just be in the public eye as we're in this, I guess, spring equinox. I think the timing's just perfect. It couldn't be any more perfect for her, and I'm just so genuinely happy to see her in this space. Okay, y'all, so the reason why I've been so I feel like inconsistent is because I'm not the most sane person, like, because who really is? Actually, I feel like the most creative people are literally insane. I've been dipping and dabbling myself in so many creative endeavors, mostly crocheting. As you can see, I'm wearing another crochet piece of mine. It's a bolero. It's another bolero. And I thought it would be smart for me to pay homage and just honor and commemorate some Black women I know that are crocheting and doing amazing things. You've probably already seen some of these women on social media, but who said you have to give somebody their flowers once? I'm gonna keep giving them again and again and again and again. But yeah, so I don't think I'm gonna really give this a segment. I just really want to highlight and or spotlight some women within the crocheting space that I think are making bomb, phenomenal things with their hands. Because literally crocheting is one of those things where it requires you to use your hands, and you can't replicate it on a machine. There's no industrial machines actually crocheting, only knitting, which is a different technique, because people get that confused a lot of times between crocheting and knitting. And some of the women that I do mention, they do both. But yeah, it takes a lot to make these things, and the fact that they're putting out the fact that they're putting out these pieces and taking their time and investing into making them, it's only right. And that's really why a lot of times I haven't really been on here, is because I feel like I've hyper fixated on it. I'm making a lot of things, not only for myself, but also as well for other people. So it's like I'm juggling between a lot of different things. But yeah, with that being said, I'm just going to go ahead and jump into, I think I have a list of 4 or 5. Let's see. Yeah, it's 5. I have a list of 5. So first to start is Rhea Swim. So this is traditionally, I said traditional. What? So this designer, it's a swimwear brand, but she mostly crochets the swimwear. She also makes other pieces such as like pants, dresses, tops, bralettes. Something about the way she stitches her pieces just like resonate with me, and I love it so much. Someone that I know as well, she follows her, so that's how I was able to see a lot of her work. But this I think her brand has swim in it, but I do think she should shift her focus in general to just designing crochet pieces, because like her work is just so amazing. Her detailing is so amazing. A lot of stuff that I'm seeing is stuff that I've never honestly seen before. The way that she switches up stitches within her work is just amazing. For the next one is Abene. Well, it's hard for me to say these names in my English, I guess, accent. But her name is Abene. Abene. That's her name. So, it's a handcrafted in Nigeria. A lot of these crochet designers, they're not, majority of them are not US based. However, I do believe that they're shipping worldwide. Yeah, they are, because I just looked in one person's bio. Abene is another fiber. Sorry, yo. I was about to say something else. Fiber art. It's funny. I've heard crocheting and knitting as so many different like titles. Fiber art is one, because you can actually study these things, especially in the UK. I know that you can study knitting and crocheting as like an actual thing, like you would like if you were to go to design school and stuff. So this is another Black woman based in Nigeria. I love how she's making pieces that I see a lot of times on like Open Sense and all of these other stockist sites that a lot of people don't know about, that are so niche. There was one top in specific. It's like this brown top that she basically made a bralette for, and then she made a layering piece for it on top of that. Beautiful. I also love how she uses, or how she goes about knitting too, because she does these very beautifully tight knitted skirts. Another beautiful brand. I really love how, again, unique her pieces are. Not a lot of this stuff that I'm seeing as well. Next is, see if I'm pronouncing this correctly, Dose of Diallo. I believe she as well is not based in the US. I'm not really too sure, just because I don't see a location anywhere. But again, another, I feel like this is one person I feel like a lot of people have seen on social media. Like her videos go viral every single time. She makes the most. So everyone, for the most part, that I have mentioned, they make really intricate designs and really using like multiple different stitches. She goes above and beyond by using like different like materials to make different shapes. Like for instance, she took like, I think, hair ties, and she made these like cylinder like crochet out. Now for those watching, it's gonna be on the screen. She made these like cylinder, circle little things, and she basically connected them and made it into a top. Beautiful, like insane. Like, and she as well does crocheting and knitting simultaneously. Like recently I saw her she crocheted a pair of pants and then she knitted a top. And it's crazy because like knitting and crocheting stitches are so different from each other because of like the technique used, and the way she stitched and knitted both of these items and made a set. You couldn't really tell, unless you're someone who knows how to like crochet and knit, that she's using like two different like methods to make these things work. Because like when it comes to crocheting, it's easier for instance, like this top, for your knits to be a little bit more open compared to whereas knitting, like you can make your stitches a lot more tighter, so it's not as open. And the fact that she did this set and was able to basically just make it look like it was just one unit, like as if she did manufacture it, was just amazing. Again, custom order, handmade, like one of ones, which I personally love. I think that's why I honestly got into crocheting and knitting, is because like I'm making like one of ones for myself at least, and things that fit my body like perfectly. For the next one, so this is actually my mutual on TikTok. She's, I believe as well, Nigerian as well. Abike Ade, child. So she's always making like, mostly like accessories, like hats, balaclavas, scarves and stuff. But I really, really, really want her to make clothing, like, cause she has this skirt that she made recently. It doesn't get any more like Y2K modern as it can possibly get. Like I've seen people like occasionally, like I said, like the previous person, mix materials to make their garments. Like she literally put like this like silver, I don't know if it's a part of the skirt or she just threw it on top of the skirt. It might just be a belt, but just in general, the layering is insane. Like her layering when it comes to skirts, mostly insane. I mean, she does sell, if you are a crochet knitting person, she does sell patterns for her like clothing that she makes, but I really just want her to just sell like clothes. Like even someone who knows how to crochet myself, I would buy it. Like I wouldn't even want to sit and try to figure out how to make it. I would actually genuinely want to buy it. And so for the last person, she's another person that's recently been going viral on TikTok, and she's from Barbados. Shout out to all my Bajans. If y'all see this, say something in the comments, because I really genuinely love y'all. Another person that's been going viral, her brand is by the name of By Christian, and she recently made this dress that went viral on TikTok, and I've been obsessed with the stitching specifically. So this stitch in particular is like a fan / shell stitch, and what she did was she took that stitch and basically just made enlarged versions of it and combined them to make a dress. And I recently actually saw Carisha wore something similar, but she got her piece from Casablanca. Casablanca is like a luxury brand that does crochet really well. Casablanca, Marni, I want to say Prada too occasionally, but mostly Casablanca. They always do crochet pieces so well. Like if you're gonna buy luxury crochet pieces, Casablanca. But yeah, I saw Carisha wearing a dress with that same stitch, and I'm just like, now I'm just obsessed. Now I just want to make everything with that fan stitch. Like if you crochet, like once you get one stitch that you love, like you just make everything with that stitch. Like once you learn it, like you just love it. Like for instance, like this stitch, it doesn't really have a name or anything, but a lot of the pieces I've been making as of recently have been like featuring like this type of stitch that I kind of like came up with. But yeah, she used that fan stitch to make this beautiful Kelly green with a combination of other colors, like come on, like y'all, like look at the color combo. Like she put like lilac in there, I want to say purple as well, yellow, like a light mintish green, and then she also like stitched beads into the piece too. That's next level. Like that's like you're touching like expert level with like adding like materials like beading, metal. Like that's really detailed for me, and that's why I just had to feature her on here. Even the way she styled it on herself, beautiful. Like I'm obsessed obsessed. Obsessed. But yeah, those are my 5 Black women crocheting and knitting that I think that everyone should very much get to know. Because I'm be honest with y'all, like, this is a crochet summer. Like, me personally, all summer I'm wearing crochet pieces, so get into it. So I thought that Meg was going to be my Who's Taking It. She still is, just because, like, y'all don't understand. Like, I'm so moved by how she just presented herself, but I digress. My Who's Taking It is really to Rihanna, y'all, because I think my last episode was before Fashion Week and before the Super Bowl. Besides even just that, y'all, can we also get into the fact that Fenty X Puma is coming back? Like, stand up. Oh, let me sit down, because I just realized I just got out of frame. But yeah, so, like, Rihanna, first of all, like, Super Bowl, all red, white dancers, what a set design, what a look, like, from the Andre Leon Talley reference to this woman she just don't do no wrong for me. Fashion wise, she just does not do wrong for me. I'm still obsessing over the MM6 X Salomon shoes that she wore. Need immediately. That's one part of it. Second part of it is Fenty X Puma. Like, we just have to talk about that. The fact that it's coming back, you just had to be there. Like, you had to be there when the girls were standing in line, in line on your laptops, trying to make sure you got the drop. Like, what a time. Like, I love, like, times in the media where consumerism, like, it did a lot for you. It just did something to your soul, to your body, to, like, come on. It just did so much for me, like, being able to sit on my laptop, make sure I had the coins in my bank account to get the Fenty Puma slides. It's funny, I was recently talking to somebody about, I don't know if y'all remember, I think it was like the second to last drop before she made her last, like, collection with them, when she did the ballerina slides. And it's funny because ballerina flats are back in style now. When she did the ballerina platforms, I'm going to put them here because, like, they're still in my head rent free. Like, I didn't even like ballerina flats growing up, but something about how she did them when you tied them around your ankle, it gave that sporty but girly look. If you have those shoes now, please keep them, because don't let me get my hands on any size. Trust you will be dealt with. But something about the way she just designed, and I know she had a designing team behind Fenty Puma, but you can tell, like, her light when it comes to fashion just really showed in Fenty Puma. It felt relevant. It felt relatable, in every aspect, mostly the price point, because anybody could get anything from Fenty Puma. And it's funny because I feel like, this is not to put Beyonce and Rihanna back and forth, but I feel like a lot of people kind of had that bit of an expectation with Beyonce and Ivy Park. But if we're being honest, Beyonce has not always been known to be a fashionable person, in the sense of, like, we don't go to her for fashion references, whereas we go to Rihanna for that. So I think there was an expectation for Ivy Park to be like that, and to an extent, it did have a bit of that feel when it dropped, in the sense of, like, you know, people lining up, trying to make sure they had their bank account correct to purchase things. But it just, after a while, it just kind of felt repetitive. Like, we kind of were able to predict what was going to come next from Ivy Park. But I do know Ivy Park eventually, especially, I feel like a lot of people are talking about how Ivy Park looks now. It's going to most likely have, like, a little bit of, like, a rebrand or a retouch. But, like, the way Fenty X Puma just did it for me, and if anyone remembers, Rihanna did eventually have her own line, which was just called Fenty, which was owned by LVMH. It didn't perform well because of the fact that relatability aspect of it kind of left the conversation. That's why we loved Fenty Puma. Not only was it good, the prices were good, and we were able to comfortably consume it, because we couldn't, like, comfortably consume Fenty because of, like, you were paying for, like, $500 shades, like $600-$700 hoodies, and it just didn't resonate with a lot of people, especially her audience. And, like, because I feel like people stick to Rihanna's, like, her origin story, which is, you know, her coming here at 18 from Barbados, not growing up, you know, rich at all, and being able to basically build herself to be a billionaire. And it feels realistic to an extent. It feels realistic. Not everyone's meant to be a billionaire, of course. However, her story feels realistic. It feels relatable. It feels like it's attainable. And I think that got lost when Fenty was a thing. And I think that's also why they're having this, not rebrand, but this relaunch, this revisit of this collaboration. I'm excited to see what comes of it, because the last drop that actually had a show, it didn't actually come out in production, which was crazy because it was amazing. Like, the girls were talking about ballerina core, this core, that core, like literally that whole collection is what we're like dressing like now. Like, Rihanna was so ahead of her time when she was designing with Puma, like, because who was wearing Puma before like she decided to step in and, you know, creative direct for them, even though she technically wasn't creative directing for them. Also, let's not, in the conversation as we're talking about Puma, let's not also forget why am I forgetting people's names? But her name will be inserted as well. Another Black woman who's designing for Puma and doing great things for them. Let's not also forget her. I really do hope to see like kind of like a very well integrated collaboration between the both of them for Puma, because if it wasn't for Rihanna, like literally, if it wasn't for Rihanna deciding to take that opportunity to walk with Puma, I really generally don't think a lot of people would be wearing Puma to this day. But I would love to see that collaboration happen just because I feel like it's needed. But yeah, y'all, I'm so excited. Like, Rihanna's just taking it in general. She got baby 2 on the way. I don't know if anyone has noticed this, but is it me or does like Rihanna look like smaller even though she's pregnant? And this is a lot of like the misconceptions of being pregnant, is that people think that you're supposed to be bigger, of course, because you're growing a child in you. But something about like, you can tell like the difference between how she looked in her first pregnancy compared to her second. She just looks smaller. Like, she looks like how she did before, you know, Fenty, all of her Fenty lines were a thing, when she was still like in her bad girl, good girl gone bad era. I don't know what it is about the second baby. I'm hoping it's a girl. I think I honestly genuinely think she's having a girl. But she just looks so good. She's accomplished. She's basically has gotten everything she's ever really wanted, which is, she's talked about this. She talked about this in her Oprah interview when Oprah asked her like, long term, like, what are you expecting? What do you want? And she was like, you know, I want to be, you know, she didn't say she was necessarily want to be married, but she said she wanted to have kids. And to see her now in her mid-30s, flourishing, doing everything she went out to, is also just as inspiring as Meg is out here with her rebrand. I'm just super excited for the clothes. I know I'm here for the clothes. And yeah, like, what a time. Like, what a time to be existing when Fenty Puma Part 1 was the thing, and then to also sit and enjoy it in Part 2. I really do hope that with this, you know, reintroduction into this collaboration happens, I really hope that we don't compare. We're in new times, and I hope we're all entering into a mindset of knowing that like Fenty Puma now is not going to be what Fenty Puma was before, and to have an open mind going into it. Okay, so the last thing I'm going to cover in this episode is the Mugler x H&M collaboration. I feel like it's supposed to be coming out in the next month. That reminds me, I need to go visit my good friends up at H&M to go see what that looks like. But yeah, so what I've seen on social media, I feel like people are kind of like here and there in regards to the collaboration, mostly because like they don't want to see like, they don't want to see leggings. Child, I get it. I genuinely actually kind of get that, because I'm gonna be honest, I personally, just from a personal standpoint, I'm kind of tired of the leggings too. However, they're really good quality leggings, but I don't think that's what's going to come from it. And I wish people would kind of just like, what happened to people being nostalgic? Nobody want to be nostalgic nowadays. Like, what happened to like the nostalgia of everything? Because like when I saw that, the first thing that came to my mind was like the the Wang collab, the Balmain collab, all of the other high end collabs that H&M did, and I'm like, what happened to that? What happened to be excited about that? Can we be like, come on, let's be excited about that. But I'm excited to see how that rollout is. I don't know if anyone has been paying attention to H&M Studio. I don't know if this is a collaboration with H&M Studio, because H&M Studio is still H&M. It's just like their I guess, their luxury end of things, in the sense of where they're actually designing collections, etc. By the way, their recent collection, phenomenal, fab. There's a pair of boots that I'm still obsessed with from that collection. But yeah, so like I don't understand why people aren't excited for that aspect of it, but in general, I'm excited to see how that looks. I think it's gonna look so good. I love Cad. I love his, not only his like creative direction from the standpoint of like clothing, but just his creative direction in the sense of like visuals. One thing, if Cad's not gonna do anything, he's gonna make sure those visuals are eating. So I'm ready to see the visuals that come out of this collaboration. Of course, the clothes, but I just think it's gonna be a good rollout in general. And irregardless of what everyone's saying, like leggings or not, y'all still gonna be standing on the line trying to get it. So what's tea? Like, but yeah, I really wanted to kind of cover that before kind of closing out the show. This is a little bit of a shorter episode than usual, mostly because I'm not gonna hold you. I gotta run. I gotta go do something. And I wanted to make sure I at least covered something this month before closing out the month. It's been such a phenomenal month in fashion. I feel like a lot of conversations more recently have been kind of boring, and that's kind of why I don't really come on here too often or too consistently, but of course with due time those things will change. And for further news in regards to Section Odie and where it's all going, for those that don't know, I have started to sell some of my crochet pieces. So if you are ever interested, it's always linked below or wherever you might be listening and viewing this podcast from, as well as in regards to the party. Like I said, further details, but I do want to let people know that that's still a thing. We're still working. I'm working out the kinks, working out the details for all of that. And I'm excited, y'all. As always, I'm always excited for the opportunities that are presented to me in regards to this podcast. And I can't wait to see how it all looks. I can't wait to see how it all plays out. And like I always say before, this is just a platform that I'm built, opening up conversations for people who look like me and have a hard time navigating how that looks. And I'm so excited just to share it all with y'all. And I'm taking everything by day. I really am, with stride. And yeah, that's pretty much it for this episode. I'm hoping by next episode, we can start rolling out some guests. Like, I know y'all love, and if you don't, I know you guys, for the most part, have enjoyed my conversation, my voice on this platform, because of course it is a namesake. However, it's time to open the doors up, open the floodgates up to my friends, my people within this space who are also navigating it not only the same way I am, but even at greater heights. So stay tuned for that. And yeah, this is Odie, of course, and I'll see you guys in the next one.